The world had ended not with a bang, but a whisper. A creeping crimson tide, they called it, the Crimson Scourge. It swept across the land, leaving silence in its wake. Cities, once teeming with life, were now skeletal remains, monuments to a lost world. The air hung heavy with the stench of decay, a constant reminder of death's dominion.
This was the world I inherited, a world choked by the ashes of the fallen.
The crimson sky bled into the horizon, painting the world in hues of despair. Twisted metal skeletons reached for the unforgiving sky. They were the ghosts of skyscrapers, monuments to a forgotten prosperity. The dust swirled, a macabre ballet of death and decay. It coated everything, a constant reminder of the scourge that had reshaped their world.
I moved through this wasteland, a solitary figure in a sea of devastation. A man stripped bare, my past a burden I carried on my shoulders.
His eyes, windows to a soul scarred but not broken, reflected the crimson wasteland that surrounded him. He had seen things, experienced loss that would crush a lesser man. But Elias endured, driven by a flicker of hope in the desolate landscape of his heart. That hope was Eden. A whispered legend, a beacon in the consuming darkness, a sanctuary, untouched by the Crimson Scourge, where life still flourished.
This tale, passed from survivor to survivor, was more than just a rumor to me. It was a lifeline.
The past clung to Elias like a shroud, an ever-present reminder of the life he once had. He saw their faces in the dancing flames of his makeshift fire, each flicker a ghostly visage of those he had lost. Heard their whispers in the howling wind as if the very air carried their mournful cries. The Crimson Scourge had taken everything from him, his family, his friends, his world. It had left him in a desolate wasteland, a shadow of his former self. It had left him with nothing but memories, sharp as shards of glass, and the echoing silence of their absence. The pain was a constant, gnawing at his soul.
There was Sarah, my wife, her smile a beacon of light in my darkest hours, her laughter echoing in the hollow chambers of my heart. Little Emily, our daughter, her innocence a stark contrast to the harsh world we lived in, her tiny hand forever reaching for mine, a symbol of the bond that was cruelly severed. Gone, consumed by the relentless crimson tide, the scourge had shown no mercy, leaving only destruction in its wake.
These memories, both solace and torment, were a constant companion on his solitary journey. They were the fuel that kept his fire burning, even in the darkest of nights. They were a reminder of what he had lost, and what he swore to never stop fighting for. Each step he took was a step towards honoring their memory. The legend of Eden offered him a flicker of hope in the consuming darkness. It was a tale whispered among the survivors, a promise of a sanctuary untouched by the scourge. A chance perhaps to find some semblance of peace, to outrun the ghosts that haunted him. The journey was perilous, but the hope of Eden was a light that refused to be extinguished.
I clung to this hope, this fragile dream, as I traversed the wasteland. It was the thread that held my sanity together. As I walked through the barren land, each footprint a testament to my resolve, I felt the weight of my promise. It was my compass, guiding me through the storms that raged within and the desolation that surrounded me. The path was treacherous, but my determination was unwavering.
Each sunrise brought him closer to the heart of the wasteland, a new day filled with both danger and possibility. Closer to the rumored location of Eden, a place that seemed almost mythical in its promise of salvation. He knew the journey was fraught with danger. Every step could be his last, but he pressed on, driven by a purpose greater than himself. The Crimson Scourge was not the only threat in this broken world. There were other dangers lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. But Elias had made a promise to himself and to the ghosts of his past. He would not falter, no matter the cost.
I would find Eden or die trying. This was my vow, my mission, and nothing would deter me from it.
The wasteland was a treacherous labyrinth, a place where every step could be your last. The ground beneath your feet could give way without warning, and the air itself seemed to conspire against you. Crumbling concrete jungles gave way to scorched plains, the air thick with the stench of death and decay. The remnants of a once thriving civilization lay in ruins, a stark reminder of the fragility of human existence. Each day was a fight for survival, a desperate struggle against the elements and the horrors that lurked in the shadows. The sun's relentless heat by day and the bone-chilling cold by night tested the limits of endurance.
I faced it all with grim determination, my will tempered in the fires of loss and fueled by a sliver of hope. Every challenge, every obstacle only strengthened my resolve to keep moving forward.
He scavenged for scraps of food, his stomach a constant gnawing reminder of the scarcity that surrounded him. Each morsel was a victory, a small triumph against the overwhelming odds. Water, even more precious, was often tainted, a gamble against unseen diseases. Every sip was a risk, but dehydration was a certain death. But the physical challenges were nothing compared to the monsters that stalked the night. The darkness brought with it a new level of terror, where unseen eyes watched and waited, creatures twisted by the crimson scourge, their humanity devoured by a primal hunger. These abominations were relentless, driven by an insatiable need to consume. They were nightmares given form, and Elias was forced to become a wraith, moving silently, striking swiftly, always one step ahead of the abyss. His survival depended on his ability to remain unseen, to blend into the shadows.
I encountered other survivors, their eyes reflecting the same mix of fear and desperate hope I felt. We shared stories, offered what little comfort we could, and then parted ways, each of us on our own solitary journey. Some were broken, their spirits crushed by the relentless cruelty of this new world. They had given up, resigned to their fate, mere shadows of their former selves. Others clung to a feral existence, their humanity eroded by the constant struggle to survive. They had become more animal than human, driven by instinct and desperation.
Elias learned to be wary, to trust his instincts. For in this desolate landscape, kindness was a currency easily counterfeited. Trust was a luxury he could not afford, and every encounter was a potential threat. Through it all, the legend of Eden served as his guiding star. It was a beacon of hope in the darkness, a promise of a better future that kept him going. Every sunrise brought him closer to the heart of the wasteland, closer to the rumored location of sanctuary. The journey was long and arduous, but the promise of Eden was worth every hardship.
I knew the journey was fraught with danger, but I had made a promise to myself, to those I had lost, and to the fragile hope that still burned within me. I would find Eden for myself, for the ghosts of my past, and for the fragile hope that flickered within me. It was a promise that gave me strength, a purpose that drove me forward through the valley of death.
The wasteland had a way of drawing souls together. It was on the fringes of a ghost town, amidst the skeletal remains of a once bustling marketplace, that Elias met Anya. She was a woman forged in the fires of survival, her spirit as sharp as the blade she wielded. Her eyes, though hardened by loss, still held a spark of defiance, a refusal to surrender to the darkness. The world had taken much from her, but it had not broken her. She stood tall, a beacon of resilience in a land where hope was a rare commodity.
I had learned to survive in the wasteland, wary of strangers, my hand never straying far from the weapon at my side. Trust was a luxury I couldn't afford, and every encounter was a potential threat. Yet, there was something about Elias that made me pause, a sense of shared struggle that resonated deep within me.
But beneath her guarded exterior, Elias sensed a kindred spirit, someone who understood the weight of loss and the desperate yearning for something more. They joined forces, their skills complementing each other, their shared goal of reaching Eden forging a bond between them. In a world where alliances were fleeting and trust was scarce, their partnership was a rare and precious thing. They moved through the ruins with a newfound purpose, each step bringing them closer to their elusive dream.
Our journey led us to Kai, a young scavenger with the agility of a shadow and an uncanny knack for finding the necessities amidst the ruins. He was a survivor in every sense of the word, his movements swift and precise, his eyes always scanning for the next opportunity. Kai's presence was a reminder that even in the darkest times there was still room for hope and ingenuity.
Orphaned by the scourge, Kai had learned to survive by his wits, navigating the treacherous landscape with a mixture of youthful optimism and hard-won cynicism. His knowledge of the wasteland's hidden paths and forgotten dangers proved invaluable to their quest. He brought a fresh perspective to their journey, his youthful energy a stark contrast to the weariness that had settled over Elias and Anya.
I had seen the worst, but I still believed in the possibility of something better, something like Eden. The dream of a place untouched by the horrors of the world kept me going, a beacon of hope in the darkness.
And then there was Zara, a healer with a gentle touch and a heart heavy with the pain she had witnessed. She had seen the worst of humanity in the aftermath of the scourge, yet still clung to the belief in its inherent goodness. Her compassion was a rare gift in a world that had grown cold and unfeeling.
My knowledge of herbs and remedies was not just for mending wounds, but also for healing the invisible scars etched upon their souls. Each concoction I prepared was a small act of defiance against the despair that threatened to consume us all.
Zara's presence was a soothing balm, her knowledge of herbs and remedies mending not just their wounds, but also the invisible scars etched upon their souls. Her gentle hands and kind words were a reminder that even in the bleakest of times, there was still room for kindness and healing.
Together, we were kindred spirits, forged in the fires of survival, united by a shared hope for Eden. Each of us brought something unique to the group, our strengths and weaknesses balancing each other out. In a world that had taken so much from us, we had found something precious, a sense of belonging, a family forged not by blood, but by the trials we had endured together. Our journey was far from over, but as long as we had each other, we knew we could face whatever challenges lay ahead.